Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is an independent MP who tells us the grooming gangs and all that surrounded that was a false narrative, amongst other things. Now this is a video I'm going to show you which I saw on Twitter. Basil, who's the great mouse detective and does a lot of political stuff on Twitter, alerted me to it. And it is from a meeting that Ayoub Khan, he's an independent MP for the Perry Barr area in Birmingham, makes this speech where he claims, amongst other things, that it's a false narrative when the media discuss grooming gangs, which I find incredible. Now, Ayoub Khan, strange background, this guy. He was a councillor for a long time, on and off, as a Liberal Democrat. However, prior to the 2024 election, when it was called, he was told that if he was the candidate for the Liberal Democrats, he would be limited by the party when talking about the war in Gaza, and decided he wanted to go to Westminster to talk about the war in Gaza. So he stood as an independent. And in February of this year, he tabled a motion to make visa scheme for Palestinian families. Incredible, isn't it? And after serving as a councillor, let me just get the times. He was a long time, between 2023 and 2012, sorry. He served in the council, and he served as a councillor for Ashton since 2022. So he's been about the block as a Lib Dem, and then decided that we have to stop being a Lib Dem because they would curtail how much he spoke about Gaza and Westminster. So let me just show you Ayoub at this meeting, which I believe was also attended by a Labour MP. Whether or not he shares the same views remains to be seen. So here's the video.
So when the right-wing media and those that seek to undermine, they are using a false narrative. And there's nothing new in that, because we know what they have ran in the past, whether it's in relation to the people that stand up for human rights, for Palestine, in Kashmir, whether it's to do with grooming gangs. It's a narrative that is done in order to sow division. And we must prevent that from happening. And one of the ways that we achieve that is to make sure that the moment a false narrative is arisen, that we address it immediately. And we fail to do that as parliamentarians. And I spoke to Tyrell, Member of Parliament, and I said to him that one of the things that we must make sure is that that false narrative doesn't catch air. Because when that catches air, it runs around all communities and it causes divisions. And that's what the narrative was.
So there we go. It's a false narrative. Anything you hear about grooming gangs, Palestine or Kashmir, it's all just a false narrative, driven apparently by the right-wing media. That'll be the right-wing media, which the BBC are a major part of, that were found liable in a recent complaint where they had a Hamas member's son talk as the voice of reason from Palestine. That'll be that right-wing media that you talk about. That right-wing media that portray good, patriotic British people with concerns of their country as fascists and right-wing all the time. When people like myself take part in demonstrations which are pro-UK, yet our media portray it as a fascist, racist rally. That'll be this far-right media you talk of that doesn't actually exist. Apart from here, if you're mentally unstable. If you're a sort of level-thinking person who's probably more centrally aligned politically than people want to give you credit for, you would probably see it as clear as day that if any bias is relevant and prevalent, is that the word, in the UK, it's actually left of centre. And I actually see it turning though, and not to go to the far right, to get to normal, where you see small hints each day or each week of society in general rejecting wokeness and things like that, and becoming more and applying more common sense and logic to what we actually believe in. But if you are Mr. Khan, who's born in Pakistan, he's lived most of his life in the UK, to be fair to him, in Ashton, but he's foreign born, then you think that our media is right of centre. I would suggest you take some tablets for that, because that's far from the truth that any normal, level-headed, level-minded British citizen would actually see. So I don't know where you get this from. I don't know why people would want to go to a rally, a meeting type thing and listen to that sort of nonsense, but it helps drive what's actually happening here is you're driving wedges by comments like that, because what you're making people believe is that they are persecuted when they are not being persecuted. And for anybody who actually serves at Westminster as an MP and wants to describe the horrific situation with the grooming gangs and suggest that was nothing more than a far-right false narrative, then I've got news for you. You should not be serving the good people of the United Kingdom. Staying up to date with events around the world can be difficult, where it's impossible to consult a single source for the full story. Narratives that shape public opinion often just reinforce media and corporate-backed vested interests. It's hard to know what information to trust. See what the media is exaggerating, sensationalising, over or under reporting. That's why I've been using Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that combines news from around the world in one place so you can compare coverage. For every news source, you can see if it has any political bias, how reliable the reporting is, and who owns them. They even have a blind spot feed that highlights news disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. Take a data-driven view on the news and stay current. Get news from thousands of sources worldwide in one place. I've been using Ground News to help me get all the world's news in one place and give a more balanced opinion on what we read and viewing who is telling us the truth and who isn't. Subscribe via my link to get 40% off the Vantage subscription. It's the one I use to get unlimited access to every feature. Your subscription can not only help my channel, but also help Ground News, as it makes the media landscape more transparent. If you want to dispel any notion that these things were bad because you believe they are nothing more than a far-right false narrative, you're a disgrace. You should be embarrassed for yourself. Because it's not just, this isn't just a token thing that opposing sides in a political argument use to point score. This is a real thing where tens of thousands of, and quite a lot of them, children were systematically abused to horrific levels that I'm not even going to go into in this podcast. And you stand in our House of Parliament and you tell us that it was nothing more than a false narrative by a far-right media. You're a disgrace to your occupation. If you want others to see this video, do 1, 2 or 3 of the following things, please. Hit the like, put some comments and hit share. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notifications bell. But most importantly of all, unless you're the type of person who's not persecuted at all and wants to defend and ignore the horrific crimes to the horrific number of people inside the grooming gangs, and you want to dispel it as nothing more than a false narrative, then no you. But
everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.